So the first thing you need to know is how the pattern works. You know, how does the pattern work that you want to model? So it took me a while to check this out, but as you can see, what I'm doing is I'm creating a V shape, and then directly above it I place a duplicate of the V shape. So I just copy and paste it, and I move it into the right direction. As you can see, I put it roughly where the other ones end there. And this is about, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's only important that the angles are correct. The distance is not as important. So I'm making another duplicate. I'm moving that to the side so that the top part of the V and about the middle part of the V touch the other V's. And then if you move that to the other side, and you get what you see now, and this is a dragon scale pattern. So it's basically just V's put together in the correct way. So now we know how the pattern works. Alright, so I'm gonna show you on a piece of clay. So I'm taking a leftover here because it's not uniform, and that's actually a good thing. So I started already scratching some scales. So basically what you start is you start with the V shape where you want your top scales to go, the one that go along this ridge here. That's the plan of this thing. And you have to really be careful with the angle because it's not uniform. It's kind of hard to get the angle right. So you just scratch roughly where you want those main scales to go. So this is basically your start, and then from there you just connect those lines. So you have all those ridges here now. I think you can see them very well. And from there, I try to show this as good as possible. You connect from roughly the middle. Doesn't have to be perfect there. Roughly the middle of that scale thing, that V line, to the other V line. No, it's actually not the middle. It doesn't really matter if it's the middle of this line or not. But you make a scratch from here to there, roughly. Doesn't have to be perfect at that point. Those connecting lines, they should be roughly in the same angle on both sides, but this is very hard to get right. But it doesn't have to be perfect. It shouldn't be too fucked up, but you can see already this is our ridge line already taking shape, basically. So it's only a V. Let's make another one up here. See, this is the V shape, and then from there you connect roughly. So then how do you continue this? Well, basically this connect line extends a little bit further down, and that's your next V. Same here, the connect line extends a little bit, and that's your next V. And the same here, and that's your next V. You see? You have to be careful with the size though. Because here I went way too big. See? So this is the angle thing. You have to be careful with the angles a little bit. And then you have to connect from here to there. And here again from here to there. And basically here we extend this a little bit. Well, this one is hidden under a thing, but whatever. And from here to there. Sometimes you have to fix up a little bit of that, but that's fine. Again, this line I don't know if you can see that, but this line we extend a little bit. And there we go, that's our next V, and so on. So let's finish this up here. Extend that one. We have a V. You always try to do the V shape first, because then you get a better idea of how big those things become. So now that we have a rough pattern, actually this one is not done yet, of how we want our scales. I mean, basically what you would want to do is you have to try to keep them in the same size, and that takes a lot of time, and sometimes you have to start over or remove some because you have to get it right, and this is the hard part, you know. The reason why I'm using this tool though, this one, for scratching you can take any tool, but this kind of tool is really useful for the next step, because what you have to do is you have to get this in the right shape. So if we take a look at this scale here, up here, what you have to do is you have to kind of indent this section, like this corner here, and indent that corner, while at the same time not indenting the tip of this one. Alright? And the same goes here. It's a bit, this tool is actually not so good for this shape because I have kind of a weird thing going on here with that ridge. I might have to change to another tool. These tools I bought on Amazon, I think they were like the other archaeology tools or something like that. I can't remember exactly. Alright, I'll show you on this one, because this one is actually quite easy to do. So you go here and you press it down. You press pretty hard, depending on how soft your clay is. This is monster clay, it's very hard. So you indent that and you go to this corner and you indent that. Press it down as good as you can, while not pressing down the tip of the scale above. And then you can actually, you know, the rest is just being very patient and doing all those indents. So after spending a little more time on those, you can already see them taking shape. And this is just kind of, you know, in these areas you have to indent, like where this tip comes down, you press and you sculpt them out of here, so underneath here. And you do that with all the tips, underneath all the tips, and then it starts to take this dragon scaly shape. And of course, the more time you spend with this, the prettier it's going to become. And also you have to really take care of the angles of the scales, because they start to get too big or too small very easily if you don't do that right. So that's the only thing you have to take really care of. So take your time, and the more time you take, the prettier it's going to get. And you can even get it on bumpy shapes like this. It's actually quite easy to do once you go into the, you know, you get into the groove. But like I said, it's basically just V shapes. One V shape, another V shape, and then there's the other V shapes. So I hope that will help you to understand how I did this. As you can see here, for instance, or on my other video with the dragon necklace. Alright, that's it. Thank you.